Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to the Flip OP360 Thankful webinar on AI plus BPOs, what your brand is risking by not leveraging both right now. I'm Sean Lee, VP of Partnerships at Flip. Very happy to introduce us, but I'll go on and let our distinguished panelists share a little bit about yourself. And as they do, they will tell us their most exciting and memorable Black Friday, Cyber Monday memory to get us going for the holiday season. Michael, why don't you kick us off?
Hey guys, good afternoon. Michael O'Neill, Vice President of Sales, also focusing on retail and e-commerce. I'm the BPO of this AI plus BPO webinar that you're here to hear about. And OP360, we have call centers, in the Philippines and Colombia and India. We support a lot of different companies in various industries. And one of the things that I think is relatively unique is that we are tech agnostic, but we really like to partner with companies like Flip and Thankful very proactively. We actually have a marketplace, a technology marketplace, and we have different partnerships with workforce management, learning and development, training, home agent workspace monitoring, gamification. But the two companies here are two of my favorites, and AI and automation of the customer interactions and transactions are central to so many conversations that we're having. So we're really excited to be a part of this, and I'll turn it over to Raina.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here today. Happy Monday. My name is Raina. I'm the Senior Customer Success Manager at Thankful AI. A little bit about myself. I've been with the company for 2 years. I've been in the e-commerce space and customer service space for 5+ years, since like the beginning of time. So I'm super excited to be here. And when I moved into Thankful, I was even more excited because it solved a lot of for me personally, it solved a lot of the issues that I was seeing in the customer service space, where agents are handling repetitive tasks over and over and getting frustrated because it makes you inefficient. But anyways, Thankful is dedicated to solving the post-purchase needs of customers, enabling brands to thrive in a customer-centric world by leading with service first. We interact via written channels, but we also have Sam on the call today from Flip, and he can talk about how you can leverage automation via voice. So I'll hand it over to you, Sam.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Raina. So Sam, I'm the CRO here at Flip. So we allow brands to offer an Alexa-like experience on their phones to their callers. Usually that results in about a 40% reduction in phone calls getting to their call center, and a better experience all around. So we impact a lot of the same metrics that both Raina and Michael also focus on with their services. And the idea at the end of the day is to automate as much as we can, so BPOs and other tools can focus on what they do best as well. And at the end of the day, provide a better customer experience to your callers. So a little bit about us. Sean, are we still doing the Black Friday?
Go for it.
Yeah, I forgot.
I was about to ask. Go for it, and we can reverse this.
So I think my most memorable Black Friday, Cyber Monday was we actually launched with our first 3 customers right before Black Friday and Cyber Monday, like 2 years ago, practically like a week or 2 before, which everybody told us was a terrible idea. And we did have there was cold feet at some minutes, like internally as well. But it ended up working out, and really, really grateful to those customers for giving us the opportunity. And we probably wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite. Anytime I hear Black Friday, I have a little PTSD because about 10 years ago, before even AI was even around, one of our clients, rather large, ran out of basically their product, and we had a 1,000 calls in queue for about 150 agents to handle, and it crashed our switching platform. So yeah, that was something that we hope to avoid, and that's why partnerships like these will allow me to sleep a little bit better at night. But anyway, Raina, I don't know if you have a favorite.
I gotta say it's gonna be this one because we just had a client who we were automating half of the process for. They really wanted to have a human touch for the second half of their canceling subscription process. And now we're going to be automating that fully. So actually canceling subscriptions for customers that are requesting it. So customers who reach out will be able to have their subscription canceled as fast as they can respond to our emails. And I'm anticipating at least 2,000 conversations a month that are going to be fully automated. So they also had just like I think budget constraints, so they won't be able to expand to more staffing. So I think we're coming in at the right time for them to be able to work within their budget, but still service their customers as quickly as possible.
Wow, 2,000, Raina, that's amazing. And hey, everyone on the call, chat is live. We have team members, Christina, Megan, Crystal, and others. So fire up your questions. If you want the secret sauce, as Raina said, how do you handle those 2,000 conversations? Or as Michael alluded to, how do you make volume work out for your team and for your customers? And as Sam said, and as an added bonus, as you're tuning in, remember all the stories they told. No kidding. We'll be raffling away some amazing prizes, and I will ask you what is the story Michael told, or not, or Sam, or Raina, or how many conversations she mentioned. So you might want to fire away your questions in the chat, make notes. We're here to make this a super helpful and actionable session for you, and we have these experts and partners here to share their expertise with you. So without much further ado, you've heard about us. Obviously, follow any one of these speakers and our companies, OP360, Office Partners 360, Thankful, and Flip, and I will keep us going. Let's kick us off. There are some trends, high-level trends on the AI market. Everybody hears that. Break it down for us a little, Michael. Why would the audience use AI in their call center? What do they risk by not embracing that? Your take, and then obviously the rest of our panel, Sam, Raina will be chiming in on this.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that, Sean. So, like I think even a more basic fundamental question is, why is a BPO, right, that provides human beings even in a conversation with two companies that automate the transactions, right? That seems like it wouldn't go together. And we've been, all hearing about AI for years now, and it really is an inevitable process. So from our perspective, being a tech agnostic company, we are really embracing companies like Flip and Thankful, and recognizing that the level of competency is with the agents that ultimately are getting the human touches, right? The emotional touches. The complexity is continuing to rise. And so we're really coming into this, with a, strategy that, our agents are going to be able to handle that complexity as it becomes more complex over time. And, I think this is going to be a theme that you're going to hear throughout, but we get a lot of different RFPs and things like that. And the BPO and AI tech seem to be very disparate, right? Customers and clients aren't really coming in looking for both in the same proposal. One of the things that, we're continually asked is, people want a consistent, scalable, consumer-friendly service, providing the right channel to the right person. And, they're looking for best-in-class approaches to recruiting and training and retention and QA and WFM, all of those things that we do. And then right at the end of a lot of these RFPs, they may say, oh, and then tell us about any innovative technology. And there might be one question out of 50 that comes through a lot of our RFPs. And we're really trying to flip that a little bit and create a more cohesive solution. And, we think that bringing best of breed companies together in a way in a more of a partnership approach is really what is going to drive the future of what's best for the customers. It's continuing to get harder and harder for companies to navigate all of the different choices and selections out there. And, I think that having a BPO and technical partners that already are working together come in with a single unified solution is really going to benefit everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know if Raina, Sam have any.
Yeah, that's a good point, Michael. And one thing we run into very frequently is our metrics are very similar to the BPO metrics. And if you look at AI solutions at the end of the day, all we're trying to do is help the customer. And so if you want to help the customer, then a strong pairing between a very good BPO as well as an AI tool that actually works, that's the ultimate marriage. And then that way you can optimize your reps, right? There's no reason to have reps answering your classic Wizmo call or a lot of your tier 1 contacts if you can optimize the training of your reps in order to focus on the requests that actually require handholding. And if you look across e-commerce brands that we've been working with recently, a lot of brands are being inundated with calls, have long hold time. And so if you can take out of that hold time those calls that are just your classic, where's my order? Or like, what is your return policy? And you can get the reps working at their maximum capacity on the calls that are actually going to boost that customer experience and really need somebody to hold their hand, then across the board, everybody wins. And with how the market looks right now, the only way to really achieve that is to have that strong BPO partner paired with AI. And the other thing I can also touch on is our strongest performing customers across the board that we work with also have a very strong a very strong BPO partner. So I think it's very important that the two get married together. Neither are going anywhere. And I think the evolution of both is a very happy marriage.
Yeah, and to add, like in the next 3 years, the call center AI market is anticipated to grow by 67%. So it's good that we're now pairing together and partnering together because brands will need that in order to scale more quickly. With AI, like once we're set up, we can continue to answer these repetitive inquiries no matter what the incoming volume is, while still allowing BPO agents to come in and train on the most complex inquiries without having them handle those repetitive inquiries at the same time. So we're actually making them more specialized in order for them to be able to handle these complex requests.
Great point, Raina. And of course, Sam and Michael mentioned the word marriage more than a couple of times. So that may be the answer to the first raffle question, as we're saying. And well, everyone on the call, and for those who have registered, you may have heard me say it earlier, we are raffling away some amazing prizes. Obviously, we want you to get so much out of this webinar session alone. But to get us going, we are actually raffling away, courtesy of Thankful, raffling away a set of Apple AirPods for some lucky listener here, audience in the call. And the winner is, drum roll, if I could have it on my table, the winner is Roxanne Green. Congrats, Roxanne. I will spare you a little bit of the clapping. Roxanne, congrats. I know I'm not in the chat right now as I'm sharing this information with us. Thanks for tuning in, and we will be in touch with you right after this webinar for your contact details. Pun intended, thanks you for joining, and we'll be sharing with you an amazing set of Apple AirPods for your listening pleasure this holiday. Thanks, Roxanne. Thanks, everyone. All right, we are continuing on. Using AI in your call center is really important. Michael, Sam talked about the marriage. Raina talked about reducing complexity and how making that is really important to make it easier for the teams. Let's discuss the elephant in the room. We talked a little bit about it earlier. How does AI actually work with BPOs? And actually, Michael, even a question that may have cropped out in everybody's mind as they were thinking about it is, do you even buy it together? Do you even buy BPO services or procure BPO services together? You mentioned flipping it and adding on innovative technology, but how do people buy BPO services together with AI. Let's jump right into the meat of that.
Absolutely. So, I think one of the big misconceptions is that BPOs don't like automation and don't like working with companies that actually automate transactions. And that can certainly be true for some BPOs that maybe aren't forward thinking, but the partnership first and foremost has to be really vitally important. And it's not just the companies that have to really come together with the marriage that we're talking about. It really needs to have buy-in all the way down to the agent level. Agents are the ones who are dealing with the repercussions of two partners that are maybe not working hand in hand. I think that one of the things that is a real big challenge is if automation is not performing very well, if the intelligent routing is not really being done properly, that the agent really can be the recipient of the customer's wrath and frustration, and ultimately cause a bigger problem for the agent that is really trying to create the lifetime value that was mentioned on the previous slide, right? And save that loyal customer so that they continue to buy from our customers and clients. So the misconceptions here that if you have a BPO, you don't need AI. I think most people realize that they both are really needed. And I'll let Raina and Sam talk about how easy it's becoming to add automation into the fold. But I'd say that first and foremost, to start with, I think that if a customer is looking for both, and they should really ask the BPO and to provide examples of companies that they have worked successfully with, and use some of those examples and get references not just from clients but also their technology partners, because I think that would be a huge benefit for them to learn and make sure that the BPO is really engaged in that.
Yeah, great point. You spoke about automation being more work, and maybe for listeners right now on the webinar, they're thinking, how long is this? Is this 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 20 weeks? What should we think about? Sam, Raina, see Raina, you're smiling, so I assume there's something coming. I'm going to pass the mic your way. Help folks on the webinar understand, is automation more work? How should they think about it? And certainly in tandem to their outsourced labor service of BPO that Michael alluded to. Your take.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily more work. If you're working with the right partner, it requires minimal participation, or at least on, I think with Thankful and Flip, it requires minimal participation from the brand side. What we need is to align on what the brand policies are. And once we have the approval from the brand's point of contact, we can easily take on the heavy lift of implementing on our side. Sam, do you want to touch a little bit on what the implementation like for Flip?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a common misconception from the implementation side, and this is for BPOs, Flip, what I hear when I speak to you guys at Thankful, customers don't realize that being good at implementation is something that is a competitive differentiator and something we've needed to get really good at. So with Flip, so all customers think that their requests are unique or that we haven't seen it before. But at this point, the reality is, after working with so many customers, chances are we probably run into your problem and we probably solved that problem before. And so at Flip, that's allowed us to get implementations with somebody that's in a very common tech stack, sometimes being able to do it in a matter of hours. The reason we've been able to do that is because we've seen a lot of these issues before. And we've also invested in getting really good at implementation. So I think when looking at AI tools, you also need to understand like who's sitting on the other end of the phone call or the demo that you're taking, and how many customers do they have? What kind of customers do they have? And what kind of problems have they solved before? Because chances are we've already solved the problem that you're trying to solve, and therefore we can really streamline implementation. The other side of it that I also want to touch on is the, hey, bullet point 2 here, if you have a BPO, you don't need AI, or vice versa. Some of our largest customers, if not our largest customers, are actually BPOs. So in the early days, we were also very fearful of, hey, BPOs, maybe we're actually touching on a territory that we shouldn't be. And there were some BPOs that I think were somewhat scared of what automation would do, but then came out the forward-thinking BPOs, and they came and actually bought our product and then helped share it with their customers. And it's been a marriage and a package made in heaven, and it just makes sense, right? The processes that BPOs need to streamline are the same ones we need to streamline, and vice versa. So with some of our BPOs, we literally have agents that are saying, hey, I heard this come through, or I'm seeing this request come commonly. You mind sending it over to Flip and letting Flip know that this is something that I think we can take off our plate? And so that's really the way I think to look at it across your organization of, hey, if the agent doesn't need to do this, then the agent can be doing another call, and vice versa. Hey, there might be some requests that we shouldn't be doing, or we'll have a lot higher CSAT if an agent does rather than us.
I don't know, Michael, feel free to jump in if you had a point there. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I mean, I just recently answered an RFP where, the technology piece was just a very, very minor part of our RFP, and we actually transparently added Flip and Thankful as a part of our response. And kind of knowing that, well, certainly we would like to be the BPO partner. If not, Flip and Thankful's products are so good that they really can stand alone. And so like Sam mentioned, it doesn't surprise me that a lot of BPOs are a part of, their and have adopted Flip, and the same being true with Thankful. Yeah, that's about what I have on that.
Yeah, totally. I want to just jump on a couple of things. One, the analogy, I believe Sam and Reina, you alluded to an extension of your agent and support team, right? AI as an extension, and obviously with OP360, giving more scalability. I think, Michael, was the word you used. So the question for all of you, 2 questions. Feel free to pick the question you want. The first one is when? When should CX leaders listening on the call, and of course, CX leaders listening on the call, when should they start to consider AI? Maybe it is, or maybe not, a little clearer when they should consider working with a BPO like OP360. So when is the first question? The second is right now. I'm reminded by a friend I met yesterday, 2 weeks away. Is it too late for the holidays for any CX leader to consider automation? Obviously, this is something to inform strategies moving into next year. So when, and is it too late? Your hot takes and thoughts on either of this in any order.
Yeah, I would say that the busiest season for Flip is always Q4. And last year, when we were doing forecasting, we looked at, okay, after Black Friday, Cyber Monday, chances are there's people are going to be brands are not going to want to implement. And we implemented more brands between Black Friday, Cyber Monday to Christmas than we had ever done before last year. So I don't think it's ever too late. Are you going to get the full implementation end to end? Maybe not, maybe you will, depending on the simplicity of your stack, but you can absolutely get some automation. So I don't know if that's any different for you guys, Michael and Reina, but that's how we've seen it on our end.
Yeah, and I'll address that from a seasonal perspective. It's a real challenge, and I was actually going to talk about this on those slides. I'm going to do it now. From a BPO's perspective, hiring for that seasonal spike is something that we do for many, many clients. But it does require a fair number of things. One is a lot of temp workers potentially. It requires ensuring that sometimes the most simple transactions are going to the newest agents and leaving the more complex ones to the more tenured agents. Believe me, not doing automation is really ultra complex for a BPO to manage the seasonality perfectly. And it's a whole lot of work from a BPO's perspective. And I think that, even going back to the first slide, we mentioned seasonal spiking, right? That's where I think, having automation plus BPO really is a huge benefit. And recruiting and training and getting those agents in place does take time. And we're at that mark, where if you're going to be adding a lot of BPOs, we've already got them in our pipeline. So it's probably actually easier to do automation right now than it is to get the right people in place.
Yeah, I was going to add, for Thankful at least, we have a starter pack similar to what you mentioned, Sam. It depends on the complexity of the tech stack as well as the complexity of the policies. But we do have a starter pack that can be implemented in time for the holidays. In terms of like when, if people are interested, they should be reaching out now. But I know that, I'll address this because as somebody who used to be in customer service and customer experience, I know that sometimes people are risk averse right before the holidays, right? Because you're implementing something new and you've never tried it before. So maybe you don't want to risk the customer experience. I don't know if Flip has something like this, but at least we're thankful because we're in written channels. We do have agent assist. So there are ways that you can implement automation. Thankful does not engage with the customer, but we do provide suggestions for agents in terms of what action they should be taking. We can route tickets, maybe to a high priority inbox based on what our understanding of the flow is. So depending on which partner you're working with, obviously, I speak for Thankful because I know Thankful, but you want to look for a partner that is able to provide value, maybe not just on the engagement portion, but also how is this going to benefit maybe your BPO agents, right? As Michael mentioned, it takes a lot of time to maybe train your human agents. So can your automation partner also help train them? Can they provide suggestions for what response they should be providing to the customer? So that's something that just putting it out there for CX leaders that might be nervous about implementing in automation with such a short time left for the holiday.
Yeah, hold that thought there because I have finally, thank you everybody, gained access to our Q&A, and we have two questions tied to what Reina has asked. Question number one, and the second one from Katie. Katie, I believe, Katie from Aircall. Hey, Katie. Anonymous attendee, love to know, your first question is, how will this impact our agents? So Reina, obviously you talked about it, anyone can address. How will implementing AI and working with a BPO partner impact our agents? And then the related question, which obviously Michael may make sense for you to address. Katie asked, what are the main things to consider when choosing a BPO or BPO partner? So how will automation and working with this BPO partner impact my agents is the first question. And second from Katie, what do we consider? What should CX leaders consider when choosing a BPO? Anyone?
Yeah, go ahead. You go.
Can I go first? Okay, cool. So how will this impact your agents? Ideally, you are taking some work off of them, right? You always hear your agents complain about, oh, I had to, send this macro like 50 times today. Thankful and Flip can do that. Flip via voice and Thankful via written channel. So there's probably a little bit of misconception about how smart AI is, right? So we're not trying to replace humans. We're not at that level yet. We can't handle every single request that comes in, but we can definitely handle those repetitive inquiries where you have a standard process, you have a standard macro that you send out. So automation can remove those conversations or that load from your human agents so that they can then turn around and focus on that customer who maybe requested an exception, right? And they have a unique scenario and they have a high LTV. So we can identify that, route it to a human agent, and they can take the time to care for that customer rather than sending out a macro over and over again. Those agents will now be able to focus on your high or LTV customers and provide them with better service. And you'll likely have a happier team because they're not working off of a backlog, right? You're reducing the backlog for these agents so that they're addressing conversations in a timely manner. You're not working with customers who are already upset because they've now waited a week to just even get a response to verify what information, what order it is that they're talking about. So even those initial information gathering steps, automation can help to get that for you, even if you can't address the response fully. You can get the information needed for your agents to be able to resolve that faster. So those are just some of the highlights.
Spot on.
Yes, it's the impact to the agents can be good or bad, and so I think that's and there's also a question on chat that I'll read. Basically, many of my agents initially felt threatened by our IVR and took pointing out the inefficiencies. Anytime our IVR failed to optimize a request, our agents relished in highlighting it. How can I change this? And I think that I'll address that first. The silver lining is your agents are at least letting you know that there's a problem, right? And I think honestly that is probably the biggest message there. And even if they're laughing about it or whatever, just the fact that there is a feedback loop is extremely important, right? Because if the agents are on the other end of receiving a very frustrated customer, it impacts the agents in a very negative way. And so that's why everyone needs a seat at the table, right? And the agents in particular must have that feedback loop in order to make, any kind of tech initiative even better. So I don't know, Sam, if you have anything on that first question relative to impact of agents and technology before I answer the second question.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've seen quite a few BPOs come and go with our customers, and the ones that stick. Just to the first point, I'll get to Ivan's question after that. The ones that tend to stick are the ones that are tech forward and actually work with various tech companies, and the ones that I see tend to come and go are the ones that are unwilling or do not kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel and the benefit of working with tech partners. And I think it's important that when you select a BPO, it's a BPO that is forward looking, because the culture, when you add on AI tools, the culture starts at the top. And so when agents see that, hey, this is a way that it can help me make my job easier, make my job more enjoyable, rather than, hey, this may be, rather than thinking about it as like, hey, this could threaten my job security or something like that, then everybody benefits, and we establish that feedback loop, and agents actually want to help the AI. But if agents are just looking at it as, hey, this is just going to end up replacing me, which Raina's right, like AI is good, but it's definitely not at a place or going to be at a place anytime soon where BPOs worry, or BPOs should worry. Then everyone wins.
Yeah.
So what are the main things to consider when choosing a BPO? We don't really have enough time for this answer appropriately, but I can certainly follow up. But I'd say at OP360, I think we have fundamentally put together a strategy that focuses on the agent's success. And so, you're kind of hearing that throughout, and it's probably somewhat repetitive, but if we are able to recruit the right person train them appropriately, and then support them appropriately so that they are going to work every day in a confident manner, able to do a good job, we find 99 times out of 100 that those individuals will stay. The attrition is very low. Employee satisfaction is extremely high. And so I think, you know, if there's anything to walk away with in terms of choosing a BPO, it's to make sure that a BPO is focusing on the success of the agent, probably above all things. Everything else falls into place, because that frontline employee is the brand of our customers, and ultimately that's the most important person that we're here to, you know, basically that's essentially our product, right? Is that interaction. So I don't know if anybody has anything to add on that, but there's a lot of things to it, but that's the biggest part.
I think that's spot on, Michael.
Yeah, Michael, I'm sure, and that's a quote for everyone, everyone on the webinar, agent success. I heard extension, and this very morning, we were talking with a partner where for one of their accounts, they actually get, as part of your onboarding, obviously we're talking about AI, we're talking about BPO, but as part of this beloved brand's onboarding process, they actually get everybody to be involved in their customer experience, in their support operations. So that way the team is understanding, right? Whether you're an extension of the team through AI and automation, or obviously, as Michael saying, represent your brand well, you understand how the customer feels, and you can best validate, you can best help resolve, you can best help advance those conversations that are going on. In the interest of time, I was going to wait to the next slide, but you all have all been so gracious and piling in with your questions. And so we're going to announce the winner of our next raffle. I was going to wait one more slide, but it looks like we're getting great participation. And so the winner, drumroll please, of an Apple iPad, this is kindly sponsored by Flip, is, you can respond in the Q&A if you think it's you, but the winner right now of the Apple iPad is Eric Martin. Eric, congrats. Congrats, Eric. We will be in touch, if not already, to get your information. Congrats on enjoying an Apple iPad for the holiday season, and you should be quite set for your Black Friday. And moving on in terms of some of the content, we talked about the misconceptions, the elephants in the room, but what about the truths? Now that we're facing forward, now that we are getting insights about when and how and what would be right, how about the truth about using AI in a BPO? Michael, Sam, Raina, and then certainly Michael, would you share with everyone, audience, a little on how can this work better together? What is your practical advice? What are your takeaways that you love everybody to have coming out of this webinar today?
Yeah, I think we've touched on quite a few here, but I think the reality is you want, like I mentioned in the slide before, when you're looking for a BPO, make sure they're tech forward. And if you do land on that, it's a marriage. Like I think we've said the word marriage so many times at this point, but it's marriage kind of made in heaven. Both can help each other out, and both can make each other's lives a lot easier. One of the things we do with some of our BPO partners is we literally share process docs. Hey, we're doing QA all the time. We're listening to our system, we're listening to what goes to the agent. So what have we heard? What have you heard? How can we better improve both of our processes in order to, at the end of the day, help the customer, help the caller, help somebody coming in through a written channel? We all win that way.
Yeah, I was going to add, when you're working with the right partner, this might have been something we should have noted in the misconceptions, that automation is a set it and forget it type of solution. But the reality is that when you're working with the right partner, your partner is always iterating, right? Always looking for a way to improve. But because the only way that we're considered successful is if we continue to resolve as much and continue to automate things that are easy, easy for your agents. we can get more complex as long as we have the right tech stack and the process has been outlined clearly. So we can definitely take multiple steps when it comes to automating. I did see a question in the chat from Roxanne. You asked sidetrack a little just to address your question so it doesn't get lost with Eric Martin's prize, but how does Thinkful improve customer self-service when paired with Gladly? So I will say that for Thinkful, we're not focused on deflecting. We're not focused on pushing the customer to self-serve, unless that is your strategy, unless you want us to. What we're focused on is resolving the customer's inquiry. So Thinkful sits as an agent within the help desk. And if the customer reaches out, it is quite possible, depending on what the setup is, that your end user will not know that they have been helped by a AI agent. They just put in their request. I alluded to this earlier, my favorite Black Friday, it's coming up. So for one of my clients, I'm so excited for it. Actually, it's what I was working on this morning. The panelists know I was a little late to our practice run because of this. So the customer will write in, they'll request to cancel their subscription. Thinkful will cancel the subscription and respond and say, hey, customer, your subscription's been canceled. Let us know if you need any further assistance. So, and this customer actually is on Gladly, Roxanne, if that makes a difference for you. But our strategy is not to say, hey, customer, here are the instructions, go ahead and cancel your subscription yourself. If my client had asked for that and they requested to implement that, or maybe we didn't have the right tech stack and that's the only option that we can provide, then we'd be happy to accommodate. But that's not our first strategy. Our primary goal is to address the customer's issue when they respond, rather than deflecting them or having them figure out the solution on their own. So in terms of how that impacts the customer experience, that's how we would address that issue. Back to automation and the truths about automation, when it comes to more complex scenarios, right, you may be thinking, oh, well, if everything's going right with the order and the customer reaches out and says, where is my order? Well, of course, automation is going to be able to handle that. Like, everything's going great. But automation can handle when orders are delayed. So that would just be something that you would discuss with, your customer success manager or your point of contact at Flip, because I know Flip can do similar work as well. So you just set up the appropriate parameters for when you want the automation to respond. The automation responds and says, it looks like your order is a little delayed, here's the latest, or here's the tracking information where you can find that update. So automation can get as complicated as you allow it to. Obviously, there are scenarios that can only be handled by an agent, and that's where we would leverage our BPO partner to say, like, ooh, this person had a life event, they're trying to cancel their order. Like, send that off to a human, because an AI agent's never going to have the right tact to be able to handle that situation. So, and I went on a tangent, but I know I can talk a lot about. That's why I'm here, right? To talk about this. So, in terms of scaling, of course, like, if you want to scale, it's a way to work smarter. You have these complex scenarios, you expand to more and more complex scenarios. When volume hits during holiday season, you already have those responses set up, so you're already prepared. You may not even see a backlog unless you have some outstanding scenario that was unexpected.
The only thing I'll add, and tangent was great, Raina, but it's also important as an automation provider to recognize where you actually need to be and when a request is better handled by a human being. And I think that's where trust at times, and it's no secret that automation, especially historically, hasn't always been trusted. And I think it stems from trying to do too much when the technology is just not there. So what we really pride ourselves, I know you guys do as well at Thinkful, is really recognizing, hey, when can we actually help, and at what points is there friction, and making sure at those points of friction before they arise, we get it with as little hold time as we possibly can provide, straight to a human agent. And when you're optimizing for am I successfully helping somebody rather than am I successfully automating? That's where you remove those points of friction. You take the requests away from the BP, I shouldn't say away from the BPO, but from the contact center. You take the requests away from the contact center that are just going to inundate it, and you make sure that the requests that get to the contact center are the ones that really need that extra time, the hand-holding experience. And then the ones that you can just get off the channel as quickly as possible, get it off the top, get off the top in a successful manner, not just like, we've all received that email from automation partner that might have been trying to go just a little too far. And we're like, hey, this doesn't quite add up. And that's what we're optimizing to making sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think for everyone on the call or webinar, top of mind, obviously the team experience is pretty critical. Everybody's asking about how are my agents, how will it work with my agents? So something that benefits the team, helps them manage their capacity crunch, help them manage some of the repetitive type of queries they're getting, the information they're having to pull. And then secondly, obviously, the customer experience, all of us, and maybe I would encourage us, or no pressure, we always say mystery shopper around this period. But in this case, maybe it is a mystery customer service experience you're getting, or certainly shopper on the front end. I know, Reina, we're thankful in what you offer, but I encourage all of us on the call as well to have a try and experience how, in this case, the best of BPO support for your team, as well as automation, actually comes hand in hand to really help companies not just survive, but thrive through the holiday season. We're going to go into a little bit about how it works together. We have about 15 minutes to the end. Are there any further chat questions? Please put them in. We are 5 minutes away from announcing one final raffle winner for the prize today. But if there are more chat questions, this is your chance. We do not see any in the Q&A, but get them in and we'll make sure we get them answered in the next 10 to 15 minutes. All right, let me move us ahead. Supercharging your partnership. How does it work together? And really, this is a question for our distinguished panel about how do you make it work? How should I? You've talked about the when. You've talked about what would be a good scenario, and time is not really that much a limitation. How can you optimize it to really make this partnership work?
I think the first place, and this is from a BPO's perspective, is to do a couple of things. One is really have a phased approach, number one, and the second is to really manage expectations. Everything really needs to be very transparent. So like managing from an expectations perspective, sometimes an AI company, we automate. The senior management or executives or finance executives will simply focus on the bottom line. How many headcount is this going to reduce? And sometimes a BPO can be paranoid. Oh my gosh, how many agents, are we going to lose from this? And, I think that the expectations need to be flipped a little bit. The benefit of saving money, I think, is very beneficial, certainly. But I think more importantly, if, like what Reina mentioned, if you want to be the end all be all and go in with this, solving 100% of all the interactions out of the gate, the whole thing can fall apart because those expectations aren't managed properly. So from a phased approach, right, we, along with our technology partners, would analyze the ticket types and the contact reasons. We would analyze all the policies and procedures. We would transparently communicate what the desired service levels are. And at that point, really kind of discern, all right, what is it that we're solving for? And I think, Sam, you even alluded to this, like maybe let's just start with returns. Maybe we'll just start off with order status, something that is really easy, get the success, get the wins, and then begin to allow for more and more of those phases up until a point where the friction starts to happen a little bit, or perhaps even the investment doesn't pay off at that point, and just going to a human at that point actually is a better payoff. throughout the entire thing, though, there always has to be an easy path to a human, no matter where you are, because there's a lot of different people that will just automatically try to circumvent AI and go straight to human being. I'm probably the oldest person on the panel. I'm probably one of those people, but I think that is the way that I would approach it. I don't know if Raina or Sam, you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I am a shameless plug for our podcast spamming zero from Michael's last point, but I think you're absolutely right, Michael. And it all comes down to just looking at the request and recognizing, hey, there's the pie's huge. There's enough for everybody, and so who's better suited to answer that request and not getting too stuck in the weeds on the margin, but rather who's best situated. Because at the end of the day, what are we trying to do? We're trying to help the customer. What is your BPO partner trying to do? Help the customer. And for the customer to be pleased, for our customer, which isn't just the caller, it's also whoever is purchasing, the caller needs to have a great experience. And the only way the caller is going to have a great experience is if we're doing our best, the BPO is doing their best. And I think a lot of times, it alludes to what Ivan said earlier. He was trying to keep AI hush hush from the BPO, so they didn't feel threatened. Those are the cases where the BPO may think, hey, they're doing something secretive here. Is my contract in trouble? Things like that, and that's where we started seeing hostility happen. But when from the get, the BPOs involved, sometimes even involved in the selection process of the AI partner, those are the best relationships that we have, and we see it helps the caller at the end of the day the most.
Yeah. Sam, with a quick barrage, everybody holding back their best questions in quick sequence. Raina, Sam, you have 2 questions about your respective company solutions. How do I bring in an AI solutions partner like Thankful? We only have email and chat at the moment. Any quick answer there? And then Sam, how quickly can Flip be implemented? So Raina, Sam, you can take it away with these 2 final Q&As before we wrap.
Yeah,
you want to go for the first one?
Yeah, if you have any written channel, so Thankful can handle email. I will say that that's not something that every AI partner out there can handle. Email is just trickier to do. But we can handle email, we can handle chat, we can handle SMS. So I don't know, Crystal, are you out there? Can you take down this person's information and maybe we can follow up with them after the call?
Yeah. Totally, and I encourage everybody, you'll see a screenshot, the next screenshot. Definitely screenshot that and mention Michael, Sam, Raina, and our companies, and we will share this deck with you. So the next screenshot, so hold your horses for 1 minute, screenshot that, mention us on social, LinkedIn, other channels. We'll share this with you and we can follow up with questions. Sam and then Michael, I thank you for addressing that last question. Sam, you want to tackle the how quickly can Flip be implemented? And then we're happy to wrap for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So the short of it, and sometimes people don't always believe us, but matter of hours. So are we going to be implementing your most complex intents that we believe should be automated? Probably not. But things like your general policy questions, depending on what kind of OMS you're using, your where's my order questions, more often than not, we can get a system in your hands in a matter of hours. And then depending what phone channel partner, and Sean has done amazing here with pretty much every major phone system on the market is now a close partner of Flip's. And so depending on which one we're using, we can also do the full phone integration within that in that few hour period as well.
Yeah, awesome. And in the interest of time, this is the screenshot you've been waiting for, everyone on the call. Thanks for staying with us. If you screenshot this is the return on investment that you get from implementing OP360, Thankful, Flip together. If you screenshot this to everyone on the call and you mention us on social, we'll share this deck with you. And obviously, if you have questions, be happy to follow up. So in 90 seconds, Michael, Raina, Sam, 90 seconds, your number one takeaway, number one giveaway to everyone on the call and to those who are going to be viewing this. How should they think about what they've just seen and heard this morning? And then we will have our raffle prize winner.
All right, I'll start. You know, there's a lot of, I guess, a lot of the big box BPOs that want to be the end all be all from both the technology and a BPO perspective, own everything. But we fundamentally believe that there's a conflict of interest there. And so going in with a partnership, you're not just going to have one account manager that's going to be looking at your end product. You're going to have, if you go with like a Thankful, Flip, OP360, you'll have 3 separate companies all looking at the best solution for your customers. And so I would say best of breed companies in a separate setting that work in partnership provides by far the best result.
Thanks, Michael. Reina or Sam?
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better, Michael. I think you're spot on, and I go back to optimizing for the metrics. What metric are you trying to achieve, and then who's going to be best? Who's going to be best to do that? Is your issue just simple repetitive requests? Is your issue complicated requests? Is the issue both? And then I think looking at the metric, looking at the objective that you're trying to achieve, and then going for the best of breed product or service in that respective area.
Yeah, agreed. And to add to that, I think you would look in your partners, the same thing that you look for in your human agent. Is your partner adaptable? In e-commerce, your processes do not stay static. Your customer service teams are adapting to any issues that come up on the day-to-day. So your partners that you're working with should be doing the same. They should be willing to work with you to adapt the automation or the BPO agent processes to whatever issue you're encountering in your day-to-day. So I would say that that's one key factor to look for. If you're looking at partners that says, oh, like we check in with you once a quarter, probably not going to be somebody who is going to be checking in on you on a consistent basis and trying to improve the solution that they're providing you. So that would be my key tip for looking at any BPO or automation partner.
Awesome stuff, Reina. I think we were on a different chat where the question and the call to action was ask your solution providers, ask your BPO automation providers, what is possible this holiday season? How can they best support you? The caller experience, I think, Sam, we like that. That makes it very tangible. We are all callers, we're all customers. And so we certainly want to provide that same partnered experience, or in Michael's words, best of breed technology experience that we would expect and we will want to offer our brand. So drum roll, please, for the final winner of an Oculus virtual reality set. And the winner is, as I'm reading, almost missed it. No, I have it. Ivan Gonzalez. Congrats, Ivan. Thanks for sticking with us. And you are the proud winner of an Oculus set. We will be in touch on shipping details. And everyone, if you would screenshot, actually, these are our speakers, but let me go back one slide. If you would screenshot this slide and share with us, just mention Michael, Sam, Reina, certainly myself, and our companies on social, we will send you the deck. We will send you the deck and you will be able to tune into these tips that we've shared and our experts have shared right on today's call. So thank you, everyone. We're 2 minutes to go. We'd love to give you that. We wish you the very best for the holidays. For Pete, get in touch with us, connect with Michael. Thank you, Michael, VP of Sales at OP360, Reina, Senior Customer Success Manager at Thankful, and Sam, Chief Revenue Officer at Flip. And I'm happy to be your host, Sean Lee, VP of Partnerships at Flip. We will see you around very soon. Thank you, everyone.